Yo, my peeps. So I thought about this grill on my 8-inch, and I thought of drilling out the holes a bit bigger wherever I could, to say go from 40% opening to at least 50-60% opening. See how big a drill bit I can do before I lose the center connections. But anyway, before I did it, I thought I would actually like to test if I could measure actually covering up holes. So I'm covering up about 50% of the surface area of the grill, and I did some measurements. I just put the mic somewhere stationary on the dashboard, and I did about 500 sweeps with the tape on and tape off. So the blue line is about 500 averages. Here we have 22 hertz, 50.9 on average in the 22 hertz to about 49.6. So over a dB at 22 hertz. And it's a bit less than a dB when we get up to 30 hertz. At 66.6, tape on 66.2, 66.1, that kind of thing. A little bit further on, 37 hertz, it starts to creep away. So this is tape on, tape off. We're at 66.1 there, dB, 67.6. Yeah, splitting up there, dB and a half, sort of. Yeah, I'm having to zoom the graph in really close. What do we hear? About 51 hertz. We're at 77.4 to about 78.7. So about a dB and a half within the major range. So I'll zoom out. This is the major range with crossovers that the speaker's doing, sort of like that. Zoom out a bit. Like I said, the mic's just in a funny old place, just so we can look at these. And what I'll be doing is I'm going to remeasure with the tape off, pull that tape off and remeasure just to clarify that we still have that blue line. Because this is 500 averages for the tape on, tape off, and it's sticking, with at least 1 to 1.5 dB difference across the board, and that was why I needed to do this little investigation instead of just doing something and then wondering if it sounded better. At least I got some measurements to see if there was any point. So this is my taking action investigation. So I redid the test tape on and tape off 4 times because in the first tape off test I accidentally had one of the doors a bit open, so that actually created a bit more gain in the data. So it's a good thing I repeated that. So there's 2 traces in orangey colour, and you see they both represent tape on, and they're consistently under the purple and blue, which is tape off, and up this end they kind of all merge together. They're the higher frequencies. They make their way through the grill no matter what sort of tape you put on it. And up here you'd think that the energy from the lower frequencies wouldn't be bothered by the tape, but you can actually see it is hindered by about somewhere in the range of almost a dB. So that 1 dB. So not quite a dB in our area of interest, but it's not nothing. So that's what I wanted to find out, whether it was something or whether it was nothing. And now that I've seen that it's somewhere in the vicinity of a dB or under, any attempt to go from say 40% grill opening to more or less. Let's try and check that on. Yeah, so this is the grill. Any attempt to drill these out is going to result in probably something less than a DV's difference. Help if I actually point it in the right spot. I'll go on this side, so I'll show you. So here you can see the holes. They don't start until they're in front of the speaker, and here you can actually see maybe the foam gasket. Now here's the grill, and on this side I've actually been drilling some test holes. I don't know whether you can tell. So probably making those holes a little bit bigger. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of fun. I'm gonna get a bit messy on those grills too. Yeah, so I'm going to drill out every hole. As you can see, there's a few test holes here from other times, other projects. So yeah, that's a fair bit of blockage. So I reckon I'm going to get somewhere in the order of almost half a dB. And as you can see, some of these holes aren't even properly formed. Like, if you compare these holes to these holes, they're partially closed anyway. And I know that the actual speaker cone is back there. It's at least a couple of inches back. You can see that's the voice core area of that Dynaudio. That's a good inch or inch and a half behind it. So I've got space for the drill bit to push through as I'm doing it. So I could even open up more holes over here, because the actual cone goes further in behind here, so I can even drill out some new holes. So let's just say I made all the large holes 50% bigger. You could say you got, if they're 40% open, you'd be getting to maybe 60% open. So yeah, that'd be a gain, right? Start drilling. I might just put a guide piece and we'll work our way up and down. We'll start from the middle. Why not? Drill everyone out of that torch up here. I bet you don't envy me with this task. So there's the material coming out. I don't know if anything's falling back there. Probably. %2 done. Let's go for a time lapse. What's that? 20% done? 10% done? I reckon I've done about 1,500 holes, enlargement of said holes, and you've probably got another 300 or so left. And here's the waste material lying around. I think I might stop at this row because I think there's a layer of deadening under here, which is kind of like signifying that I'm pretty close to the edge, or past the edge. So I'll just finish off these 10 holes here. It's definitely fully closed there. Have a look. Yeah, definitely found the last open hole row. That's good enough for me. I should do the big peel, the big reveal peel. See how we went. Yeah, a bit of gunk, a bit of blue tape in some of the holes. Not terrible. Yeah, I guess I could run a vacuum cleaner quickly over it. See how we go. Clean up the rubbish with a vacuum. Oh, my favourite shitty vacuum. Take 2. Piece of crap. Just looking at this now, I'm gonna call it a win. At least 1 dB in all of these humpy areas, and also down here in this lower high pass area for that. So yeah, a little bit of extra 38ths, dB and a half maybe. And just before this hump, we have a slight gain. So we're trying to get better than the purple. And then you could say the purple is a bit humpier. So purple is before the drilling, red is after the drilling. And orange is with 50% of the grill taped closed. So red drilled out, purple before drilling, and orange was tape before drilling, 50% covering. And up here we have just a bit of a difference. So I guess with the non-drilled you have some more stored energy or held pressure. So it gets a bit loose here. But still, whenever there's a lump, there's a rise. And this is still due to just a random mic placement on the dashboard. So this is not really representative of the pressure and listening of the even bass, which I had been working on a lot. So I'm going to call that a win. I think that's as high as I captured it with out smoothing, but we'll double check these in a sec. I'm just turning off just to the 8. Sounds to me a little different. Don't want to get too much copyright on that track. Yeah, a lot more open. All these corny things like it hits you in the chest, blah blah blah. But it tends to, I think it's a lot quicker. And I don't know, maybe I can just keep drilling until I find that point where there's not enough material left to call it a grill. But even that amount was pretty nice change. And I've only done it to the left. The left was the one that needed it the most, and go ahead and do it to the right, I guess.